Early on in my career, when I was working as an executive assistant, my organization recruited a young woman who was mixed race. I believe her father was black and her mother was German, or her father was German and her mother was black. Actually, I think it was that her father was German and her mother was black, or somewhere around there, but somebody was German and she had a German last name. But I digress. But anyway, I remember this, and I remember her vividly for a couple of reasons. She had very light skin. For some of the white people in the office, she might have even been white passing to them. But from the minute I saw her, I knew she had black in her because, as black people, we always know. Now, here's the part that matters and the point of why I'm telling this story. This person was extremely white proximity seeking. She came in to that job and she antagonized every single black woman in the office in one way, shape, or form. She openly aligned herself with the white women in that office. She mirrored them. She protected them. She reinforced them. And after I left, she didn't last that much longer. She claimed, I heard, that she was being bullied by the black women in the organization because we didn't like her. Let me just say this clearly. Not liking someone and not pretending to like them is not bullying. No one has to pretend they like you, especially if you're a horrible person at work. No one is obligated to be nice to you, especially if you act like an asshat in the office. And especially once people figure out that you cannot be trusted. Being black is not just a color. It is an alignment. It is a behavior. It is who you protect when power is involved. And this woman would very openly align herself with whiteness, but when it suited her, she would suddenly remember she had a black parent and want to tell everybody about it. She was one of those kind of people. And I'm bringing this up because this dynamic does not stop in small offices. It scales. So let's talk a little bit about J. Edgar Hoover. J. Edgar Hoover ran the FBI for 48 years. 48 years. He surveilled people like Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, and he targeted them. He targeted the Black Panther Party, and through his COINTELPRO program, the FBI infiltrated and disrupted Black liberation movements with the explicit goal of neutralizing them. And they were very successful in that regard. They weren't investigating crime, they were neutralizing movements. Hoover was known to have accumulated secret files on politicians and presidents. And he leveraged the information that he found out about people and used them as weapons. He became one of the most powerful unelected men in American history. And after he died, Congress imposed a 10-year term limit on FBI directors specifically to prevent another Hoover. When the government restructures itself because of how much power one man accumulated, that should tell you a lot. That is how significant he was. Now, I'm going to say something that makes people uncomfortable. Well, it might make some people uncomfortable. There have been long-standing claims, including from relatives who wrote about it, that Hoover had Black ancestry. Historians debate the documentation, but yet it persists. But understand this. In Hoover's era, America operated under the one-drop rule. In many ways, it still does. Even a little bit of Black ancestry legally made you Black. That wasn't rhetoric. That was the law. That was social enforcement. When I say that if he had Black ancestry under the system of his time, he would have been considered Black, that's historically grounded. And if a man living in a violently racist society had something like that to conceal, and then became one of the most aggressive enforcers of white dominance in American history, we have to ask hard questions. Was it loyalty? Was it overcompensation? Was it internalized white supremacy? Was it all of those things? Because Hoover didn't just target Dr. King. He targeted Malcolm X. He targeted the Black Panthers. He targeted and surveilled and infiltrated every single Black movement that happened during what we know as the Civil Rights era, and he attempted to psychologically destroy Black leadership. He maintained files on presidents and politicians. He was, in my opinion, one of the most dangerous institutional actors in American history. And the structure of the FBI was literally changed after his death to ensure that kind of power concentration never happened again. That's how significant he was. But the uncomfortable truth is that the system did not disappear when Hoover died. It modernized. The files became databases. The wiretaps became metadata. The informants became algorithms. Power didn't shrink. It scaled. Which brings me to Alex Karp. And yes, to his co-founder Peter Thiel first, but I want to talk about Alex Karp. Because if Hoover built the architecture of 20th century domestic surveillance, then Karp is helping build the 21st century's version. Through Palantir technology, software platforms are embedded inside law enforcement, military agencies, immigration enforcement, intelligence communities. These systems analyze massive data sets, they identify networks, they flag threats, whatever they perceive as threats, and they expand the state's ability to monitor populations at scale. Hoover gathered intelligence to neutralize movements. Palantir builds programs and systems that allow governments to analyze entire populations in real time, really quickly. Different tools, same scale of influence. And here's where it becomes particularly interesting and a bit complicated. Alex Karp has a Black mother. And I think a lot of people would be surprised to know that. Because when people think about the architects of modern surveillance infrastructure, they do not necessarily imagine someone with a Black mother at the center of it. A Black American mother at that. But that's precisely why this conversation matters. It's why I'm saying what I'm saying. Because representation does not automatically equal liberation. Lineage does not automatically equal solidarity. And proximity to power can be either used to dismantle harmful systems or to scale them. It is my personal opinion that Karp and Thiel are among the most dangerous private citizens operating in the world today, not because they are cartoon villains, but because of the scale of the surveillance infrastructure they have built and the governments they have embedded themselves within. When private citizens build tools that expand the surveillance state, and those tools disproportionately impact marginalized communities, that concentration of influence is dangerous, especially when representation is used as a cover. But in his case, I don't think he actually uses the fact that he's half Black as a cover. He barely ever speaks about it to my knowledge. So when I say being Black is not just about color, it's about alignment, I mean that. I saw it in that small office back in the day. We saw it in the Hoover era, and we are watching it again in the digital age. White supremacy does not only survive through open racists, it survives through participation, through enforcement, through motivation, through innovation, through proximity seekers who choose access over solidarity. The technology changed. The alignment question did not. Sit with that.